Hi friends, my name is Rebecca and welcome back to my channel where I chronicle my journey as a first-time horse owner. A few weeks ago, I posted a video sharing my experience on what it was like mounting my green horse for the very first time. I'll have a link up in the cards if you're interested in checking it out, as that moment really kicked off a whole new aspect in my journey together with Florian. On that day, my goal was to simply get on him, which I did, but I very quickly was back on the ground again. Still, it was a step I needed to overcome in order to move on to my next goal, which was actually riding him. As a quick reminder, Florian is my 4-year-old gelding that I enrolled in a training program to be started under saddle at the beginning of summer. I myself only have about 2 years of riding experience under my belt, so we're a bit green on green here. But with the encouragement of my trainer and husband, I decided it was time to start conquering more of my fears. Sometimes it's a really weird place to be. To want something so badly, but to be terrified of it at the exact same time. Florian is so much more than just a horse to me. He's a childhood dream of owning my very own pony, and an adult dream of trail rides in the spring with my husband. He's made of memories, both that have already passed and are yet to come, and he's years of hard work and dedication and patience. And yet, for right now, he's also fear. Fear of literal pain as much as fear of failure. So with all that in mind, something as simple as mounting and going for a quick ride can be paralyzing. I don't know if this all sounds super dramatic, but it's the only way to describe how I feel when I'm standing on the mounting block and I have to decide if I'm going to swing my leg over or not. But on that day, I am very proud to say that I did. Now, I will point out that I am very aware of how terrible my riding is. I'm grabbing the saddle instead of the reins, my back is hunched, my arms are curled in, and my whole body is tense. But this is what my body does when I'm afraid, and this is my next hurdle that I'll need to overcome. But for now, the goal for this lesson was not to be the perfect rider. It was simply to ride him and to start getting comfortable with his movement. Florian is a little bit taller than any other horse I've ever ridden. He's 15'3" last time we measured him, and he's definitely much wider. He's also still being ridden in a treeless fur saddle until we get something that fits him appropriately, so it's a lot of adjustments on my end. You'll also notice that he is being kept on a lead line the entire lesson. Honestly, this is mostly for my own mental benefit, just to add a little extra security for me. Florian is actually ready to start being ridden off the lead, but for now, that is a task for a more experienced rider. Obviously, I hope to get to that point soon, but there is a balance in knowing when I need to push myself and allowing myself to overcome my current obstacles. Our first big challenge was walking over the cavalettis. I'd seen him do this before with other riders, but apparently Florian is still a clumsy toddler as he has a habit of tripping over them. Thankfully, he has never panicked or spooked when this happens, but I was definitely nervous at the thought of sitting on a tripping horse. But I held my breath, crossed my fingers, and pushed on. It's funny to look back on now, since on video it looks like such a simple task. But in that moment, my heart was racing, and I had no idea what could happen. The overall lesson lasted about an hour, and I'm incredibly proud to say I stayed on him the entire time. About halfway through, my nerves really started to spike, and my breathing grew shallow, and my head started to swim. I don't really know what brought it on, and I was really afraid my sudden anxiety would transfer to Florian and he'd grow spooky in return. But my boy stayed calm and steady throughout the whole thing, and not once was he anything less than a perfect gentleman. We finished up with one final huge challenge: trotting. I had zero plans on trotting Florian that day, but I'd already come this far, so when my trainer offered it up, I knew I would regret it if I got off without at least trying. I have spent so much of my life allowing my fears to control me, and while that will probably always be true to some extent, I'm so much more aware now of what sorts of limits that puts on me. So I knew I needed to trust in Florian and trust in myself that this would be okay. We trotted in a simple circle on the lead as usual. At this point, I did very little but hold on for dear life and try not to pass out. It was equal parts exhilarating and terrifying, But in the end, I'm so glad I pushed myself to do this. I was pretty dizzy from lack of breathing by the end of it, and I needed a minute afterward to pull myself back together. But that's okay, because even though it wasn't pretty or polished, I still did what I set out to do. This lesson is just the first of many, and while it's a little embarrassing to look back on, I'm still really proud of it. Progress doesn't happen overnight, but every once in a while you get a big moment like this that lets you know that everything you've done until that point has been totally worth it. We've still got a long way to go, but maybe it's just a little less than it used to be. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again with another one really soon. Until then, stay safe and happy writing. Bye!